The push for artificial intelligence solutions inside DoD is a real and coordinated effort. It's centered on the JAIC, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. Here you'll learn about some of the goals from AFCEA Cyber Committee co-chair John Gilligan and Signal Magazine executive editor George Seffers. I talked to them at AFCEA's TechNet Cyber 2019 in Baltimore. Tell me what you're seeing, what you're reporting on with the Defense Department using artificial intelligence in network defense.
Okay, artificial intelligence is already proving to be very useful in the cyber realm. I talked to a young Army specialist last year who works for NSA. He's a hacker for NSA. And so he's in the cyber fight day after day, dealing with attacks from Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, all over the world. And he was talking about how important it is, how important AI is, or automation is in dealing with the rapid pace of these attacks. That being said, I'm not sure anybody really knows yet exactly where AI is going or how useful it's going to prove to be or how it will be used in the future. We just recently ran a contributed article from someone at Dell Corporation. It was a commentary piece. And he was pointing out that there have been a lot of requests for information coming out of the military recently regarding AI, not just for cyber, but for a wide array of missions. And he made the point that all of these RFIs coming out is an indication that this is something that the Defense Department is just beginning to get its arms around and study and try to figure out where it's going. And then just last week, late last week, there was a report from a NATO committee saying that they don't yet have the architecture that they need to use artificial intelligence agents on the network. And so that's just another indicator that we're just in the very beginnings of this, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, see where it goes in the future.
John, you and your cyber committee are working on some research in this area. What are you learning so far, and what's the rollout look like?
Yeah, Francis, I think as George said, what we're seeing is there's a lot of enthusiasm. We're in a nascent phase, so we're learning a lot. I think that the good news is that the technology is maturing, and that the artificial intelligence has been around for many decades. But I think the maturing of the tools, the languages, the ability to process the information in a more rapid fashion has given great optimism that we're going to be able to make rapid progress. So I think as an example, when you just look at the speed with which the automation of automobile driving has progressed. So 5 years ago, if somebody had told you that you'd be able to basically take a car and drive it across country without the assist of the driver, you would say that's just not possible. Well, we're doing it now, and the technology is getting better and better. So in the Cyber Committee, our focus is really on cybersecurity. So we're looking at both AI, machine language learning from a offensive standpoint and from a defensive standpoint. And so right now, one of our big focus areas is to put together a conference that we're going to hold in June 12th at the Prospectus Center. It's going to be a classified conference, and it's going to look at the range of AI, ML activities with regard to cybersecurity. So look at, from a defensive standpoint, what are the opportunities for AI, ML in helping us get over the hump in making significant progress in defensive cybersecurity. From an offensive standpoint, and we know that there are organizations that are already using AI, ML for offensive purposes. What are the opportunities? What are some of the issues? Looking at the interplay between offensive and defensive. I think so we're quite optimistic. We've got a great panel of speakers and keynotes. This will allow us, and it's a small audience, about 200, so it'll allow the audience to be fairly intimate in asking questions from the panelists. And so we're looking at it as a way to kind of bring the community together. Our end result is we're hoping then to be able to develop a summary, where the summary then will help guide and provide some recommendations. Where do we think the government should be going? As George said, There are a lot of RFIs, RFPs coming out. Where do we think is the right emphasis, in particular in cybersecurity? What should industry do? What are some of the risks? Should we take some of this technology and make it more sensitive, so that it's not accessible to adversaries, et cetera? So that's a summary of what we've been looking at.
George, who's kind of overseeing that line of RFIs and RFPs that you talked about? Is it the traditional provider, the traditional contracting organizations that we have seen inside DoD, or is this coming from a new governance structure?
To a large extent, it's the traditional organizations that you've seen. Historically, the military services and other agencies in the Defense Department have had a lot of latitude in what they develop, what technologies they develop, or what systems they procure. But the Defense Department has just recently developed or instituted the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, just to help coordinate efforts, to share lessons learned and share information. That's not something that the military has always been real good about doing. Back in the 1990s, there might have been different divisions within a military lab that didn't know what the other divisions within the same lab were working on. That's largely not the case anymore, and so like I said, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, or the JAIC, will help to facilitate that cooperation.